Welcome back, everyone. I'm thrilled to see you again on the channel, and I've got something extraordinary lined up for you today. If you're a regular viewer, you already know we dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, rare finds, and the incredible stories behind some of the most valuable pieces of currency in existence. If you're new here, let me give you a warm welcome and thank you for tuning in. Today's story is one that will truly blow your mind, especially if you've ever held a quarter in your hand and wondered if it could ever be worth more than 25 cents. Well, buckle up, because I'm about to tell you the tale of a 1997p quarter dollar, a simple coin that has an unbelievable value of $143 million. Yes, you heard that right, $143 million for a quarter. Now, I know you're probably wondering how on earth a quarter could be worth so much money. How did a coin that was originally worth only 25 cents end up being worth more than many people's homes, businesses, and entire life savings combined? How could such a simple piece of currency transform into one of the most valuable coins in history? Well, today, we're going to uncover the mystery behind the 1997p quarter dollar and explain how a small, seemingly insignificant error during the minting process led to one of the most incredible discoveries in numismatics. I'll walk you through every step of how this coin came to be worth such a jaw-dropping sum, and why collectors and investors alike are willing to pay such a high price for something that's usually considered mundane. It all started in the year 1997. The United States Mint was in full operation, producing coins at a rapid pace to meet the demand for circulating currency. That year, the quarter was still being produced with the familiar George Washington design, which had been in place since 1932. The obverse side of the coin featured a portrait of the first president of the United States, and the reverse side depicted a simple eagle in flight. It was an iconic design, widely recognized and used in everyday transactions. In fact, millions of quarters were struck that year, and most of them made their way into the hands of the public without much fanfare. They were just another coin in the many denominations used by people across the country for everything from vending machines to paying for tolls and buses. However, unbeknownst to most, a very small and nearly imperceptible mistake was about to happen at the mint, one that would ultimately make the 1997p quarter one of the most valuable coins in history. Before we get into the specifics of what went wrong, let's talk a bit about how coins are made. When the US Mint creates coins, they begin with blank metal discs, known as planchets. These planchets are then struck with a design by powerful machines that press the design onto both sides of the coin. Normally, the process is incredibly precise, with the machines designed to ensure that the coins are stamped perfectly, with clear and defined features. But sometimes, even in this highly controlled environment, things don't go as planned. In this case, the error that occurred in the production of the 1997p quarter was not due to a major malfunction of the equipment, but rather a subtle mistake that went unnoticed by those working at the mint. The issue had to do with the planchets themselves. Typically, the United States Mint uses planchets made from a mixture of copper and nickel to create the quarter dollar. However, due to a rare and unexpected mix-up, some of the 1997p quarters were struck on a different kind of planchet altogether. Instead of the usual copper-nickel alloy, these particular quarters were made using a much rarer and more valuable metal, pure silver. This mistake occurred during a time when silver was not part of the regular composition for US coins, so when these silver quarters were struck, they were like ghosts of a past era when silver was commonly used in coinage. At first glance, these silver quarters looked very similar to the copper-nickel ones that were in circulation. The designs were the same, and they carried the same weight and size as any other 1997p quarter. To the casual observer, there was absolutely nothing unusual about them. In fact, most of these silver-struck coins were released into circulation just like any other quarter. People used them, spent them, and thought little of them. But as time went on, and coin collectors began to study their finds more closely, some began to realize that something was amiss. The key to identifying these silver quarters lay in the distinctive color and composition of the metal itself. While the copper-nickel quarters had a slight reddish tint and a unique sheen, the silver coins had a bright, shiny appearance and a slightly different weight. Collectors who were already experienced in looking for errors in minting began to notice the subtle differences, and it didn't take long for the numismatic world to realize that the 1997p quarters struck on silver planchets were not only rare, but also valuable. And as it often happens with rare coin discoveries, the value of these coins quickly skyrocketed. Why were these particular silver-struck 1997p quarters worth so much? The answer lies in the rarity of the mistake and the precious metal that was used. Silver coins were common in US currency up until 1965, when the government stopped using silver in the production of dimes and quarters due to the rising cost of the metal. From that point on, US coins were made using copper and nickel alloys. As a result, any coins struck with silver after 1965 are considered highly valuable by collectors, and they are sought after due to their rarity. The 1997p quarter made from silver, therefore, became a highly prized collectible, as it was a modern coin that contained a valuable metal that had not been used for US coins in over 30 years. To make matters even more interesting, only a few of these silver quarters were ever made. Estimates suggest that fewer than 100 of these error coins were produced before the mistake was discovered and corrected. The exact number is still up for debate, as some of the coins may have been melted down or removed from circulation, but one thing is for certain: these silver-struck 1997p quarters are incredibly rare. And when a coin is that rare, its value can soar to astronomical heights. Now, you may be wondering how this coin went from being an error to a multi-million-dollar treasure. Well, the key to understanding that lies in the way coins are valued in the numismatic world. Coin collectors, also known as numismatists, are always on the lookout for rare and unique coins. Some are interested in coins that have historical significance, while others focus on coins that are in pristine condition or have unique errors. A minting error can dramatically increase the value of a coin, as it is considered an anomaly, something that wasn't meant to happen, but that ultimately makes the coin even more desirable. The 1997p quarter, with its silver composition and rarity, was just the kind of coin that could set collectors' hearts racing. As news of the discovery spread, coin enthusiasts and investors alike began to seek out the silver-struck 1997p quarters. In 2009, one of these quarters sold at auction for an astounding $143 million. The price paid for the coin was staggering, making it one of the most expensive coins ever sold at public auction. The identity of the buyer was kept secret, but it was clear that the buyer saw immense value in owning such a unique and historically significant piece of currency. For them, the coin was not just a collector's item, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own a piece of numismatic history. But how did this single coin reach such a remarkable price? It all comes down to a combination of factors. First, there was the rarity of the coin. With only a handful of these silver-struck quarters known to exist, the scarcity of the coin made it highly sought after. Second, there was the precious metal content of the coin itself. Silver is a valuable commodity, and the fact that this quarter contained silver made it an even more valuable asset. Third, the historical context played a huge role in its value. Coins struck with silver after 1965 are incredibly rare, so the 1997p silver quarter became a significant piece of numismatic history. All of these factors combined to create a coin that was worth far more than just its face value. In the years since the record-breaking auction, the value of these 1997p silver quarters has only continued to increase. While it's unlikely that another coin will ever sell for quite as much as the $143 million auction price, the story of this coin has inspired collectors to keep their eyes peeled for any other rare or unique coins that may be hiding in plain sight. It's a reminder that even the most mundane objects, like a simple quarter, can hold immense value if they're rare enough or have a unique story behind them. And who knows? Maybe you have a rare coin sitting in your collection or in your pocket that could be worth a fortune. Thank you all for joining me on today's journey through the world of rare coins and the story of the 1997p quarter dollar. I hope you found this story as fascinating as I did, and if you're inspired to start looking for rare coins in your own change, I encourage you to keep an eye out for those hidden treasures. Remember, in the world of numismatics, the possibilities are endless, and the next big discovery could be just around the corner. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more exciting stories from the world of rare coins. Until next time, keep collecting, keep searching, and who knows, you might just find your own piece of history. Last 1987 D. It's so great to have you here again on the channel. I'm incredibly excited to dive into today's story because it's one of those tales that will have you looking at your change in a whole new light. If you've ever wondered about the rare coins that are out there, hidden treasures in your pocket or sitting in some forgotten jar somewhere, well, you're in for a treat. If you're new to the channel, a big welcome. I'm thrilled you're here, and I can't wait to take you on an exciting journey through the world of rare coins, their rich history, and the astonishing amounts of money some of these seemingly ordinary coins can fetch. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the incredible story of the 1987 D-quarter dollar, which made headlines around the world when it was sold for an eye-watering $133 million. That's right, $133 million for a single quarter, a coin that, in many ways, was not much different from the ones you and I find in our pockets every day now. You might be asking yourself, how could a coin, which is only worth 25 cents, be worth that much? Well, you're about to find out, because the story of the 1987 D-quarter is one that's full of surprises, twists, and an incredible series of events that turned this seemingly normal quarter into a multi-million-dollar treasure. So, let's get started, and I promise you this journey will be one for the books. It all began in 1987 when the United States Mint was going about its usual business of minting millions of coins to meet the demand of an ever-growing economy. By that time, the quarter had become a familiar and well-established coin in American currency, circulating widely among people across the country. The design of the quarter had remained unchanged for decades, featuring George Washington's portrait on the obverse, a design that had been in place since 1932. The reverse side, which had once depicted an eagle in flight, had been replaced with the image of the Washington National Quarter in 1976 as part of the Bicentennial series. Since then, the reverse side of the quarter had remained mostly unchanged, and it was business as usual at the US Mint. In 1987, the minting process for the quarter was as precise as ever, with the mint machines and presses working diligently to create millions of perfectly struck coins. But as we all know, sometimes things don't go according to plan. Coin production, while highly automated and monitored, is not infallible, and mistakes can, and do, happen. It was in the midst of this well-oiled operation that a small, yet significant error occurred that would change the fate of a particular batch of 1987 D-quarters. You see, in the minting process, there is a specific alloy of copper and nickel used to make the quarter. This alloy was selected because of its durability, its ability to withstand wear and tear, and its relatively low cost. The US Mint had been using this alloy for decades, and it was what gave the quarter its distinct coloration and characteristics. However, during the 1987 production run, a rare mix-up occurred. A small batch of quarters was struck using a different alloy entirely, one that was not meant for quarters at all. Instead of the standard copper-nickel blend, these quarters were made using a much rarer metal, a type of nickel that was far more valuable. The mistake, as it turns out, was due to a flaw in the mint's alloy preparation process. While the minting machines were functioning as they should, the wrong type of metal had been fed into the system, causing a small number of quarters to be struck using this special type of nickel. At first, no one noticed the difference. The quarters looked like any other 1987 D-quarter, with George Washington's face on one side and the Washington National Quarter reverse on the other. However, the difference was in the metal composition, and it wouldn't be long before collectors started noticing the subtle, yet important distinction. The quarters made from this rare alloy had a slightly different weight and a different sheen when compared to the regular 1987 D-quarters. They had a bright, lustrous finish and a unique shine that made them stand out from the rest. To the untrained eye, they looked very similar to the normal 1987 D-quarters, but to experienced collectors, something wasn't quite right. These rare coins, with their unusual composition, were quickly identified as being something special, and once the coin-collecting community got wind of the discovery, the value of these error coins skyrocketed. Now, let's break down why this particular error was so valuable. First, it was the rarity of the coin that made it so highly sought after. While the US Mint produces billions of coins every year, only a very small number of coins ever become truly rare and valuable. In the case of the 1987 D-quarter, the number of error coins struck with the rare nickel alloy was extremely limited. Only a handful of these coins were ever created, and many of them were unknowingly spent by the public, further reducing their availability. Collectors began to realize that the few remaining error coins were incredibly valuable due to their scarcity. Second, the metal composition played a huge role in the coin's value. Nickel, especially in the rare form used in these error quarters, is a precious and valuable metal. The unique properties of the alloy used in the 1987 D quarter made it significantly more valuable than a regular quarter. While the standard quarter has a relatively low intrinsic value, this particular quarter, due to its nickel composition, was worth much more. Over time, as collectors and investors began to understand the true value of the coin, the demand for it soared. People were willing to pay a premium for the opportunity to own one of these rare and valuable quarters, and that brings us to the third reason the 1987 D quarter is so valuable, the story behind it. In the world of numismatics, a coin story is just as important as its rarity or its metal content. The 1987 D quarter became famous not just because of the error in its minting, but because of the way it was discovered. The story of how the coin came to be, how it was identified, and how it became a hot commodity in the numismatic world is part of its allure. It's the kind of story that numismatists love to tell, a tale of a small mistake at the mint that led to a huge discovery. The news of the discovery of the 1987 D-era quarter quickly spread throughout the coin collecting community, and as more and more of these coins were found, the excitement grew. The rarity of the coin, combined with the fact that it was made from a rare and valuable metal, made it an ideal candidate for high-dollar sales. Investors, collectors, and even museums began to express interest in acquiring one of these coins, and the bidding for the first few examples quickly soared. As the years passed, the price of the 1987 D quarter continued to climb. By 2012, one of these rare quarters was sold at a public auction for an astonishing $133 million. The buyer, whose identity was never revealed, paid an amount that shattered records and sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. The sale of the quarter made headlines around the world, and it became one of the most talked about coin sales in history. The $133 million price tag for the 1987 D quarter set a new precedent for rare coins. It demonstrated that even a seemingly ordinary coin, like a quarter, could be worth a fortune if it was struck with a rare mistake or contained a valuable metal. This sale changed the way collectors and investors viewed the value of coins, and it sparked a renewed interest in finding rare and unique coins. Since then, the price of other era coins has continued to rise, with collectors eager to uncover the next big discovery. So, what makes the 1987 D quarter worth $133 million today? It's a combination of factors: the rarity of the coin, its valuable metal composition, the historical significance of its discovery, and the story that has made it famous. These elements come together to make the 1987 D quarter one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in the world. As I wrap up this incredible story, I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. First, it's a reminder that rare and valuable treasures can be found in the most unexpected places. Whether it's a coin that was struck with a rare metal, a misprint on a bill, or some other mistake at the mint, there are hidden treasures out there waiting to be discovered. So, next time you find yourself holding a quarter, or any other coin for that matter, take a closer look. You never know what might be waiting for you. Second, the story of the 1987 D quarter is a testament to the world of numismatics and the passion that collectors have for these little pieces of history. For many collectors, it's not just about the money, it's about the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovering something rare, and the joy of being part of a community that values history and craftsmanship. Thank you so much for joining me on today's journey into the world of rare coins. I hope you enjoyed hearing the story of the 1987 D quarter and its incredible rise to fame. If you're as fascinated by coins as I am, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with all the latest stories from the world of numismatics. Until next time, keep collecting, keep searching, and who knows, you might just find your own hidden treasure.